Start recording it
When you're
and
ready.
broadcasting. All right, hi everyone. We're live here. This is in the Revolve Robotics office. We got all the panelists here on Kubies that are remote. I think everyone's in the U.S., right, Corey?
I believe we're all in the U.S. right now, yes.
Yeah. Going ahead and kicking off Cool Tech of CES, just bringing in a bunch of companies that showcase and unveil the number of interesting technologies at CES 2016, and
Right.
just running a panel to let everyone give a little more details on what they showcase.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for starting it off, Marcus. My name is Corey Moss, owner of Convergent Tech. I am a writer and podcaster in the AV, IT, or should I say audiovisual information technology industry. We've put this thing together now. Really a cool tech podcast, but we have a few different segments. One is the cool tech segment. The next is video collaboration. The third and last one is drones. And if you haven't heard enough drones talk, well, this woman who is haranguing right here, Christina Eng. How are you, Christina? Christina is our drones expert right now, and she's going to be with us throughout. Chrissy, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and even better, of course, I have my Guinness with me. I don't know if I'm supposed to be showing that or not, but
well, you just did. So everybody,
there it is. There it is.
I gotta get my drink too.
Everybody, go get your drink. No, that's Chrissy's signature. So she does show it on every. Well, we do podcasts in my industry, and Chrissy has been on with us, and others have been on.
I'll just eat an orange,
Yeah, Mark is gonna. Well, you're in California. That's pretty good. But anyway, so we've organized this tonight. Now we were supposed to have some companies. It looks like one or two are here right now. Maybe others are going to join us. So in segment one is Cool Tech, and who we have with us right now in that is Marcus Rosenthal, CEO of Revolve Robotics, and Dilshan, Wearatech, and that is basically our wearables category. And we're going to get to him. We're going to talk with Marcus first, because Marcus is actually going to be appearing in two segments tonight. So the first one we're going to talk about is robotics. So Marcus, why don't we? So if you look in the room there are the Kubies, and we're appearing on Kubies right now. So that is Revolve Robotics telepresence robot. It holds a tablet, and sure enough, what you're looking at there is their product, the Kubi, K-U-B-I. So, Marcus, why don't you start us off? Talk about robotics, talk about the Kubi, talk about even what you saw at CES in the robotics department.
Okay. Yeah. So, first, I just want to let anyone know that when you're speaking, it's going to be just a view of you. So, actually, Corey, as you were telling people that what they see, they don't see that except for when I'm speaking. Just so you know, that's kind of how Zoom switches around. But yeah, so what we have is Kubi, and it's a telepresence robot. We have 4 people on them here. And what we unveiled at CES was actually a new integration with Zoom that enables what we're calling hybrid meetings, and that's why we've chose to set it up this way with many people all in one meeting. And what is now possible is that multiple participants are able to all control their own view of the Kubi. So to look around and really have an interactive conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll just show you controlling this one, right here. And actually then I'll hand it over. Actually, we'll give it to Corey as the moderator. We'll let him take controls. So you can see with this, able to actually go ahead and fully, pan and tilt the device to look around to really create a engaging conversation between people. And so it's the key is that each person now controls where they look, and so you can have more like a natural conversation where we're each, sitting around the table, able to drive the Kubi in that manner.
Hey, Marcus, I've got a question. You know, we talked about when I first tried the Kubi, this was probably about a year and a half back, and you said there have been changes, and now you do have the Zoom integration. But what you see mostly at CES is the robots on wheels, okay? And they're traveling room to room and everything. But now with the Kubi, it's something you can actually pick up, take to a different room. It's portable. You don't have robots rolling on wheels on carpets. What is the big difference now with between this and that kind of technology that's really advantageous to people?
Well, yeah. So one thing is that we've concentrated on the ability to look around. So kubi means neck in Japanese, and that's like when you're in a meeting, the ability to look at each person, look at what's being presented. Maybe there's stuff on the table. That type of control and ability is really what is the important part of communication. The ability to drive room to room, it's nice, but in general, there's other people around, so if I need to go move someone, over there, it's easy enough to do. And so what we decided was let's make the robot much simpler, lower cost, much more portable. I mean, I have 5 kubis in this room. I can carry them in a little 6-pack wine carrier, and
Right.
I can bring 6 people anywhere I want to go. I don't even know how big. There's no way one person could transport and carry 6, doubles or beams or Vigos or any of those robots.
It's called a minivan.
I actually,
You'd have to rent a minivan,
You
sure.
can just rent a minivan with all your friends.
and that's what Beam has. They have these vans that they drive them around in, and it's like it starts getting very expensive. So our whole thing is like I presented in China, I presented in Taiwan, I presented in LA, and literally we could just send a kubi with the tablet to the location we want to be, and we're there, and we can interact. You can mirror the display to a large screen, and just like you're there in person.
So can I ask 2 questions real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So my first question is, why am I blinking?
Why are you blinking?
On your thing.
That one I need to plug in.
Oh, you're blinking on the screen. I thought you meant, why are you blinking? Stop blinking.
My kubi's blinking. I'm special like that.
Yeah.
It's letting you know I've been drinking too much.
You have this. Okay, you have the special. You have the special kubi. It blinks. Okay.
Yeah. So it was at a critical battery life. Now it actually stopped because you're no longer.
Go on to the second question.
Okay,
it's a better
second
one.
question. Well, it was, I'm sure people watching it would notice that. So my second question is, say all those kubis, if I want to look at Corey, which would be looking to my right with that kubi, is there a way that something I'm wearing is integrated, and as I turn right, it would look right? Or do I have to literally, on my computer, hit my right or left arrow to turn my kubi to look at him to get Corey full screen on my display?
So last year at CES with Plantronics, we actually started showing a head tracking headset. It was a concept one where you could. The challenge of that is you would now need a display all around you.
Right.
Because if I'm going to turn my head to look to the right, well, I'm no longer looking at my display.
That's why you need a 360-degree display.
Yeah, or you have a chair that I've envisioned this. You have let me just grab this one over here. You have a chair that's got a mount that just holds your tablet right there in front of you.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Then it could work. And so, we've been working to get, Plantronics to try and go toward productizing that. But at this stage, it's a concept device that was showcased last year.
Great,
Hey, Mark.
great device.
Yeah. Hey, Marcus, I know we talked about a few other things, but I want to turn over to Dilshan right now, and then we'll go back to you. We were supposed to have a couple of others. We have Glance Clock, the AI Clock, SVET, Health Lighting. I don't know if they're here with us. If not, we're going right now to Wearatech. So, Dilshan, invited you. Now, I know we had talked, and I had thought you were there. You said you hadn't been at CES, which is fine, because we're talking wearables. And I think what you have, as a matter of fact, to me, was very impressive, because we're actually talking about Link, the world's first and only smart clasp.
That's
so
right.
we're talking about a smart clasp. It's a watch. It's a nice looking watch, okay? But the way this is an actual clasp that, has the touch interactivity and all of that. So, why don't you talk about that, Dilshan?
Yeah, can I share my screen?
You certainly can, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead and do the share screen. Click on it. Okay, there we go.
So yeah, what the smartwatch industry, there's a lot of players coming in the smartwatch industry. It's just growing exponentially. The wearable industry in general, I think experts predict in 2025 it's supposed to do $70 billion. In 2016, there's expected to be 160 new companies entering the wearable space. A lot of that is startups, but look at Fitbit. Fitbit was a startup, and so was Pebble. Pebble actually started out of an accelerator in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, Communitech, and they operate right out of there. And now they're one of the major players in the smartwatch industry. But one of the things that's happening is luxury wearables, where a lot of wearables they're great, they're functional. It really helps with your day-to-day and staying connected. But it's most of them are lacking. They're very functional, but they're lacking in style. And that's kind of the shift in the industry right now. Is more and more companies are getting on board and trying to create more stylish, better-looking wearables that people would want to wear. Since Apple came out with their Apple Watch, that really helped with the market, because what that did to the industry was it brought in all of the Apple followers, or their user base, and the advertising dollars that Apple is able to spend on this at their level. It really gets wearables or smartwatches more mainstream. And they actually came out and they were able to you can sell a $1,500 smartwatch and people will actually buy it. And so they were able to successfully come up with more of a better looking smartwatch that's more luxurious. You can buy an Apple Watch for $20,000. I think the highest one is $22,000.
That's right.
Solid gold.
That's right.
But then you look at the other segment of actual luxury watches. You can buy luxury watches for thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what's happening with the watch industry is, as the smartwatch industry is climbing, the watch industry actually is shrinking a little bit, and it's not, and that's very evident. It's not. It's because of what people are doing with wearables, and more people are switching to that. So we find that a lot of the watchmakers now are starting to come up with their own wearable devices. Tag Heuer just launched their wearable device, which is their smartwatch. But the main problem with smartwatches is when you're not looking at the watch, you just have a blank screen. It's just a black screen.
Right.
You look at a watch like the one on your display there. It's a thing of beauty. It's art, right? And it's very fashionable. And
I'm looking at this, and I have to say, this is a beautiful watch that I'm looking at now. It really is, Dilshan.
Yeah.
It is.
We actually designed the watch to present the clasp. Our intent was always to manufacture the clasp, and our slogan is any watch. The idea is you can grab our device, put it on your luxury watch, and it's designed for the people who love their luxury watches with analog faces.
Right.
And don't want to give up that luxury and that not just luxury but fashionability for a smartwatch and a black screen. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to simply replace your clasp with the smart clasp, and it essentially gives you the ability to have a smartwatch in your luxury watch.
Right.
Now,
So it doesn't have to be a Wearatech watch, right? That's the classic.
That's the clasp itself. That's the Link.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just sell we're actually just selling the clasp, or that's our main product. Our main product is the clasp itself. Now we designed the watch to present the clasp because we couldn't really just present the clasp because I mean people can't really if we just showed a clasp animation, people wouldn't really get it as easy as it would when we present it with a beautiful watch. But what we're finding is a lot of our potential customers are asking for the watch. They want to know where they can buy the watch, and I agree, it's a beautiful watch. So what we're looking at doing right now is possibly looking at some potential partnerships with some watch companies to possibly come out with a WearTech watch. So you have the ability to buy a WearTech watch with the clasp on it, or you can just buy the clasp itself and put it on your own watch. Now it is geared, it's a luxury device, so I mean it comes a 14 karat gold, rose gold, and we actually designed the clasp specific to every watch band size. So if you notice the actual housing itself, it's made out of stainless steel, and you have watch band ranges from 18 mil to 26 mil. And when we go from now you're not going to get an 18 mil a clasp that's made for a 24 mil watch band on an 18 mil watch. We're actually going to size that screen and the housing down so it fits proper to your 18 mil band. So it's not overlaying, it's not bulky on your wrist.
So Dilshan, yeah.
Good.
I was going to say, as a woman, I know that there was an article that came out today that talked about how females are not wearing the Apple Watches. They're not wearing a lot of these type of devices. And what I have here, I don't know if you can see, but I have my big old Garmin watch, right? Yeah. It's huge. Look at my little itty bitty wrist, right? I have to wear this big old watch. And so my question for you is, are you gearing yourself towards the female market at all? Are women interested in this? Because we like our regular watches more so than our Apple wearable watches. And will that fit on a female watch band?
That's right. So that's one of the things that we're looking at doing is we recognize right away that one of the wearable industry it doesn't ignore women, but everything is big, too big, and women like things that are slick and slim. Take the clasp for example. You don't just have to put it on a watch. You could put it on a luxury bracelet. You could put it on a diamond bracelet if you want. True. Right? So what we're looking at doing is, and that's why we have the different sizing options. So as you can imagine, as the size of the clasp gets smaller, so does the screen, right? So what we have to do is we're looking at slimmer options. Like for example, a typical women's watch is usually like an 18 mil lug size. So the width of the band is somewhere around 18 mil, maybe 16 mil, right? So what we want to do is we want to design our clasp in segments. So we're not just going to have one size fits all because it's a luxury device. We want to be able to fit your watch, and so you don't feel like you're wearing something bulky. And that goes with women. That's one of the reasons why we're offering the rose gold version. A lot of women, you can buy Guess watches and Michael Kors watches that are in rose gold. In fact, I just got word that, or this was a few months ago, Fossil, Intel. I mean, Fossil makes a lot of people's watches. Fossil makes watches for Michael Kors, and Fossil, Michael Kors just entered a partnership with Google and Intel to develop their own smartwatch. So they are trying to gear towards women, and I can pretty much bet that the Michael Kors watch is going to be more geared towards a slimmer fitting band, capturing that segment of the market, because their main segment for Michael Kors is females, right? And they're already coming out. Michael Kors has come out with a smart purse where it's got tech built inside of your purse, designed for women. Now they're looking at launching a smartwatch that's specifically designed for women. One of the challenges, though, in designing for women, designing small, is the electronics. it's very difficult to get electronics to fit in a very confined small space.
Right, I can see that.
Yeah, and also and maintain your battery life, because obviously the bigger your watch, the bigger the battery you can put in there, the more space you have, and the more battery life you can get. So what we've done is we've actually focused the last year and a half on high density circuitry. So we've focused a lot on high density circuitry and the miniaturization of circuitry that's typically found in smartwatches. So we turn to technologies like HDI, high density interpolation, and also there's a system called RCP. It stands for redistributed chip placement, and what that does is it's a technology that a lot of major chip manufacturers offer, like Freescale. What they do is they take your typical circuit board and they go down to the die level. If you look at your a circuit, if you take a microchip like an M4 microprocessor, it's got, I mean, it's a couple mil, depending on what size, what package size you get. Just the QFM is probably a few mil thick, but really that's just the cover. The die is actually microns thick. It doesn't actually need to be that thick. That's just a protection. So what redistributed chip placement does is it goes down to the die level and it embeds it in layers into the circuit board. So it allows you to shrink your circuitry size by 30 to 40% from HDI, high density interpolation, which even that is very high dense and very compact. So
hey, Dilshan, I can almost guarantee you could talk for hours about this.
Yeah.
I just had a question about how people wear it, because now it's like, are you proposing that they flip their hand upside down when they are using this, or are people, like a lot of people, they almost put their watches upside down? Are they going to like spin it around when they use it? How do you foresee your customers using this? Because not everybody probably wants to hold their wrist upside down whenever they're probably going to be using the smartwatch part of it more than they are their normal watch.
Yeah, so the intent is for the device to be used in the interior of your wrist. If you actually, it's actually easier for you to look at the interior of your wrist than the exterior of your wrist. If you just do that test with your hand, you can tell that you're using less muscles, straining less muscles looking at the interior of your wrist than the exterior. I mean, they can flip it, but our intent is to have it on the interior, and you can have it in two different modes where it displays vertically or horizontally, depending on your preference. And that's just a setting in our software where if you prefer to look at it in a certain orientation, because and you just set it so it displays vertically as opposed to. And in terms of people playing with their smartwatch more than their watch, at the start that's true, but as it goes on, as you get accustomed to the watch, it's more of a convenience factor. Our focus is on notifications to your wrist, like calendar, meetings, you have a phone call coming, and all of those things. So we want you to be able to just look at it when it's needed. You can play with it, but our focus in our software is getting notifications to your wrist to increase our battery life. And we do that by, we use an OLED screen, so we only turn on limited pixels, so we can maximize our battery life. Our background's not color; it's going to be black, because we want to just be able to turn on limited pixels when you need it, so we can maintain the highest level of battery life.
No, this is all great, and you can take it out of screen share now.
Okay, sure.
That's fine. But I got to tell you, for all of the exhibitors at CES that are exhibiting wearables, and I wear a wearable watch. A lot of people wear it now. And you talk about the Apple Watch, and I walk in the Apple store, I see that $20,000 watch, and I go, there is no way. Okay, yeah. There are people who are going to buy it, but if you want that real fashion wearable, now this becomes a great opportunity to have something that's in a in a clasp wear your analog watch, your favorite analog watch, put it in the clasp. Now you've got a wearable. Now you're taking wearables to a whole new dimension. So, this is all good stuff, Dilshan. Tell everybody where they need to go, Twitter handle, whatever they need.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter. It's at WearTech. You can also get us on Facebook, Facebook.com/linkyourwatch, Facebook.com/linkyourwatch. You can find us on Instagram too. We're at WearTech Inc. So yeah. Oh, one more thing. One thing that
Sure.
about wearables is I don't know if you know, but it's where it's shifting is basically payment to your wrist. You probably saw a lot of companies advertising that at CES, where you can like Apple Pay, and more companies are coming out with wallets for your wrist, right? So, and I don't know if you guys have heard of NIME. NIME is a company out of Waterloo, Ontario, that developed a technology where it measures. It takes a digital fingerprint. It's essentially a digital fingerprint.
I have seen it. Yes.
Your blood. Yeah.
Yes.
And the banks are investing heavily in them, and that's switching again. That goes to authentication and verification from your wrist for wallet and payment.
We'll get them next year. You'll come back also next year at CES time. Go to CES, all right, and we'll.
I will. I plan on.
We'll get that bird's eye view from you.
It's
so anyway,
it's a good possibility we'll be exhibiting there next year. Also, we'll be at Collision.
Okay.
Collision Tech Conference in New Orleans this April.
Okay.
So us there.
Excellent. Dilshan, thank you very much. Now, we were supposed to have Glance Clock. I tell you what, let me very quickly, I am going to speak for them since I don't see them here. I'm going to do a little screen share because I thought this was actually a very, very cool product that I saw. So, Glance...
Dilshan, I just want to know what the price is. Is there...
Oh, yeah, Dilshan price point. Yep.
Yeah, so the silver, sorry, the polished stainless steel and the chrome is $399, and then if you want to go to the higher end ones, where it's rose gold and gold plated, it's $599.
Wow, get one tomorrow. This is good stuff. Hey, you don't have to buy that. Well, I'm not going to say it.
Well, we're going to launch pre-orders, so if you want to save money. When we launch pre-orders, the starting price is going to be $289.
There you go. Ooh, there you go. Hey, folks, look at this WearTech. It's good stuff. All right, Dilshan, thank you so much for joining us. This has been terrific.
No
Again, I'm going to talk real quickly about Glance Clock because I thought it was very cool. World's first smart wall clock. Display information from all your wearables. Hey, Dilshan, look at this. Display information from all your wearables, smart home devices, web services. This to me is pretty phenomenal. Displays your smart home data. I thought I saw AI in here, but you see the description here. Glance Clock provides you a new way to interact with and understand your home through your favorite smart home devices, Nest, SmartThings, Wink, Withings, and many more. It analyzes energy and water consumption, smart home events, and much more. A clock. Look at it. There it is on the wall. Here it is, glanceclock.com. We'll try and get more information out on this. SVET, SVET health lighting. So I think it was svet.com. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Anyway, we're going to end this segment.
I was just wondering if they had a video of that, just to kind of know how it worked.
Of the Glance?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, I don't know. Give me a second to see if I can actually find that.
So is it using Bluetooth for communication then?
I am trying to find out. I'm trying to see if there's an about or. I was not the expert on Glance Clock. I apologize. But no, actually, it looks like if you talk cool tech, this really looks like cool tech along with WearTech. So I'd say definitely if you want to find out more, it is here on glanceclock.com. Get in touch with them, ask them the questions, and again, talk cool tech. This is definitely one. So all right, we are going to end our first segment. Again, Dilshan, thank you. And Marcus, you stick around, of course, because you are co-hosting and you're involved in the second segment as well. So we are going to bring in our second segment participants. And we have with us, along with Revolve, we have Zoom. Now, you're watching, we are on Zoom. I use Zoom for my video conferencing. Actually, I use Zoom to record my podcasts. We do it on video, but as they know it's Zoom, I do record it and we post it as audio podcasts. So there are many things you can do with Zoom. Altia Systems, Panicast, and we're going to get to them. And then there is Personify. So why don't we start with Zoom? Okay, and that is Janelle Rainey. How are you, Janelle?
Hi, Corey. I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks
Good.
for having us today.
I think this conversation starting with you is because everybody in the room now basically is in video conferencing in one or another, video collaboration. So if we start with video collaboration, I guess we have to start with what platform we're on right now, and that is Zoom. So tell us about Zoom. Tell us about, the big things that Zoom are doing. I know you guys are just growing by leaps and bounds these days. And of course, like I said, I use it. So go ahead, Janelle. Tell us about Zoom and what's going on with Zoom these days.
Yeah, we are growing by leaps and bounds. It's really been a fun ride. It's exciting to be a part of this team. It's really just amazing technology that's really evolving and revolutionizing how people are communicating. It's letting people go face to face. I mean, even this webinar, we can have up to 25 panelists and we're all on video and being able to communicate. Really, you couldn't do that before Zoom. So it's really quite just a great product. We now have over 170,000 customers. We've just won a big Frost & Sullivan Award for Entrepreneur of the Year. Let's Do Video, which is a customer voting.
Yep, that's David Maldo's publication. Yes, I know David well. Yep. That's a big award.
We've been doing some great things, and I think people really turn to Zoom because it's really leveling the playing field. Whether you're joining from a phone or a tablet or a desktop or a conference room, it goes all the way from like life size and Polycoms to connect in. And we also have our Zoom Room solution, which allows you, with just a simple iPad, to transform your entire conference room. So companies are really setting this up as huddle rooms for a very inexpensive price, not having to buy huge HT323 or SIP programs to run their conference rooms.
And I'm sorry, but we did an end of year. Simon Dudley, who a lot of people know in the industry and video conferencing, UC, used to be with Lifesize, and you mentioned Lifesize. We talked about Zoom, we talked about other applications, but essentially just what you can do with this application compared to the old, in-room codec systems, the costs of that. This is just so easy. You get its cloud, jump in, go on devices, and you just take it from there. And it really is that simple, Janelle, isn't it?
It really is, and I think that's what people love about it is the simplicity. I think a lot of people have fear about video.
Yeah.
A lot of it's just, we've kind of gotten complacent and used to these products that just don't really work all the time, or it takes a long time for people to join. And when they use Zoom, there's just kind of this relief of it always works and it has the reliability.
And I really like how transitioning from a video conference on Zoom to even this webinar format, they feel exactly the same. So it's like we're having a video conference here, but you can choose to broadcast that. And right now we're using their cloud recording. So I didn't have to worry about, I could have recorded it straight from an iPad even.
Yeah, and Marcus, with the Cubies, it's been really great. We've seen it through telemedicine and education, and being able to use Zoom and then control the iPad on the Cubie as well. I work remotely, and we have Cubies in the office. It's really great to just, they're always on. They auto answer for me. So you can be in the office even though you're not there, and really able to interact. And that's been a really great thing too. And I know you have some drones.
Oh yeah, we
as well.
Yeah, we have drones talk.
The drone companies are using Zoom as well. Whether it's they're looking at construction or agriculture or real estate, they're having that one of the video feeds be from the drone, and then you can have 50 people
I don't know. You may want to stick around for the drone section of this podcast, this
It's really
webinar.
interesting what people are doing with the video.
It really
Yeah,
is.
especially, I think it's important that you just said that because so many people in the AV industry, and I'm glad that we have Stampede on tonight because Corey has sent me a couple of videos where people in the AV industry just say there's no place for drones in AV, and we're not saying that it's going to be 100% everywhere will be drones in AV, but they have their place. They're playing the game with AV, and we have to embrace it. So thank you.
Yeah, well, there you go. You've got great statements
Bravo!
here from Zoom, and maybe Janelle should stay on for the drone segment. But you mentioned market usage. Janelle, it's very important, I think, for any of these applications. When you talk about markets like healthcare and education and corporate, and even more than that, is that if you can target usage in case study or use case to certain markets. I mean, I think you can build identity very big in those markets where now you're really a preferred solution. And then you put Kubi in the mix, and now you're saying, well, look what Zoom does with Kubi, and you put it all together with the telepresence robot. That's pretty robust, I must say.
And Janelle, can you talk to, I mean, obviously, Zoom is all cloud, and so that a lot of larger companies have been kind of scared of going to the cloud, but obviously we're seeing it as well that everyone's getting more comfortable with that and almost not wanting the burden of all this hardware. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have an extremely secure platform. It's all encrypted. There's nothing that we're seeing or that's on our end. And then larger corporations, we do actually have a hybrid solution as well, where there can be an on-premise component that they can host there. So if they have really high security concerns, they can do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the on-prem component is a very big deal for those who do have those the security concerns, and that again, an offering like that. Very big, with this. So, no, this is great. Stick around, Janelle, because Zoom is what we're on. But I want to throw it right now to Altia Systems and Panicast. So what I'll say before I go to you is I do writing in the AV-IT industry, and I had been doing a series where I was pretty much recapping the week, putting in solutions that I saw, and actually Panicast too. Had been introduced, and now I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but right there I put it in, and of course I put it on Twitter. You all saw it, and I said, all right, let me keep track of this, and sure enough, there you are, CES. And I said, well, I tell you what, I think it is time to involve and invite you to show and talk about Panicast. So 4K panoramic video in collaboration. There you are, panoramic in the room. So why don't you introduce yourselves and
Sure.
Let's talk a little Panicast.
Great, thanks, Corey. So this is Aurangzeb, and with me is Aaron Cowles, and great to be on the show with you today. Our innovation, Corey, is in bringing an ultra-wide field of view. And if you think about camera design, as some folks mentioned, they haven't changed a lot in a long time. Mostly, it's one lens and one imager, and it's good for about an 80-degree, maybe 90-degree field of view. That's fine one-on-one. But if there's a group of people, then the folks who are not in that room really don't feel very well connected to that environment. They kind of see it through a tunnel. Now, people have tried to change that by using fisheye lenses and things like that, and that creates a lot of distortion. So our approach was to build new computer vision technology, new algorithms that we've implemented in what we call the Panicast video processor, which is an FPGA-based processor inside our device. The device is very small. So I'm holding it up next to my iPhone, and I can kind of see it's about half the size of the iPhone Plus. And there are 9 processors. There are 3 video cameras that are all running independently, miniaturized video cameras, 3 megapixels each. We take them, synchronize them, stitch them, and actually put them all together in real time with less than 5 milliseconds of latency to create the video that you're seeing. And then it comes out as a simple consumer interface. It's a USB plug-and-play device. You plug it in to your Mac or to your PC. It's a one-wire connection with a USB 3. And you can use it with any software application that you like. We actually do a lot of work with Zoom. A lot of customers are using both Panicast and Zoom and doing global deployments.
Yeah.
Particularly for huddle rooms, because huddle rooms, the challenge is you're sitting very close to the screen, you're sitting very close to your devices, And an existing camera, there's a lot of cameras that are out there that just can't show you that whole space. So if Erin and I get up and we start writing on the whiteboard, you'd have a hard time seeing what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And with our solution, for example, I could easily pan out and show you the whole room, or I could snap back in and kind of just focus in on the folks that are in the room.
And when I was looking at images, and that's when you do the pull-out image again, because that's the image that I saw that really struck me. And I said, there is that small camera, and look how small that thing is, I must tell you. And that is providing that nice, clear image that we're seeing right now. And then you can, do the pan and image again.
That's right. And it's a 3840 wide by 1080 tall video field. So, it's more than what, many folks can handle right now. But, most services will get there. And the great thing about it is when you zoom in, you're still HD. And so it's still a very sharp, bright, clear digital PTZ type experience.
Right.
The nice thing is with the PTZ, you can kind of look left or right.
Mm-hmm.
But with us, you see everything all the time. So it's a lot like how we as humans process information. It's a very natural visual landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And, through applications like Zoom and so on, we can give people far-end control so they can look around and they can get very comfortable with the space.
And I should have said Zoom, and I should have Zoom on the mind right now. So we're zooming in, but we're panning the room. I mean, it is the technology really is, and that's when I saw it. I said, I like this. And now here, seeing CES and going, all right, I have to get you. And by the way, I have been talking to one of your resellers, and he was going to come on tonight. Unfortunately, he couldn't. But we're talking Zoom and Revolve and Panicast, and so all in one thought. I mean, here we are. With Zoom.
Can we far-end control it?
Yes, you can. You can.
So I can go ahead and request it and.
Oh, that I don't know. I don't know if we've enabled it in this particular device, but we have customers with installations, and yes, you should be able to. If you can't, let's see here. Let me approve it. See if it lets you do it. But it does let you do it. It depends on if I have the one with the latest firmware or not.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. But so for you controlling it there, where you were, the controls don't seem to be showing up for me.
Okay. So we'll just need to circle back with you and kind of show it to you with the latest firmware, and it'll work with your control exactly as you talked about it.
Yeah, because we're doing a lot of these where it's this hybrid panel setup, and I have a Logitech camera there right now, but it would certainly be better. I'd be able to cover more of the room, not make us all huddled together if we would.
So that's kind of our pitch is, it's just not comfortable to put, two or imagine, and we've done, 50 people. I think actually, Erin, we've got some customers lighting up, huge auditoriums with this device.
We have University of Western Sydney who's using the Panicast camera in their classroom of 300 plus people, and the camera can just see everything, see the whiteboard. So it's really great for education or telehealth.
And so we're seeing a lot of growth. We introduced it in May. We started shipping in September. We've got more than 100 companies now that have adopted it and are starting to scale. And I think all of us agree that the whole idea here is to bring a fresh new experience for video collaboration that's really very easy, not intimidating, and very pleasing. And where the technology doesn't interfere with how you do work. We're here talking about the substance that we want to talk about, and the technology shouldn't and doesn't get in the way. Because we do everything in real time, there's a lot of pull also in the VR market. So actually at CES, we showed it working with the Avegant Glyph, which is a new generation headset. And I'm just going to hold that up for you. It's a really great design. And what happens when I put it on, we integrated head tracking with it. So now imagine as I had zoomed in, I was moving it using a trackpad. Mm-hmm. When I put this in, I'll see the 720p image, but I've got massively more video data. And so as I move my head left and right, up and down, it'll kind of look wherever I'm seeing. So, just like in real life, you look where you want to look, it shows you what's there. Same thing happens with this. But in this case, the camera could be half a world away and we'd be dealing with it instantaneously. So that creates a chance for a new kind of experience. All of us could together experience something that's really far away from us.
Sounds like we should
doing a lot of work with drones, actually, because it's a tiny device. It's 125 grams. So we've been flying it around with a DJI drone and shooting some great footage. And what's different about it versus the fisheye effect, the fisheye effect is sort of fun, but as you know, it creates a lot of distortion on perspective and scale. Ours doesn't. And so it just looks a lot more realistic, and people seem to enjoy it.
All right, you just said drone, so you said the magic word. Okay, Christina lights up whenever you say drone. So no, there you go.
Jazz hands every time.
Right, for drone. Yeah, this is all great to lead into the next segment, but again, this is great technology, and again, I saw it, I liked it, and now I said I have to bring you in. I will continue to track what you're doing with Panicast. So before we move on to Personify, just give us whatever information we need for everybody out there.
Yeah, Erin.
Sure. So you can go to our website at getpanicast.com. We are selling our camera on our website as well, and we have a lot of documentation that you can download. We have videos on our YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Twitter at Panicast1.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you both very much.
What's the
price? Yes, thank you.
It's very aggressively priced, so it's $9.95. So we joke panoramic 4K for less than 1K, right? So it works everywhere. So you can use it in huddle rooms. Actually, it's designed very laser focused for huddle rooms. People are actually finding that it's great for 300-seat auditorium. So it's a very versatile device, and we've had a few customers deploy it globally in multiple countries, actually using it with Zoom in several cases, and just using it every day. And that's kind of the point. We want it to be a normal part of how people work together.
I tell you what, when you say 4K and all the 4K talk in this industry and audio visual and all that, I'd say if you can get it for under 1K, it's a big deal.
Yes.
So, there 4K for under 1K, Panicast, the Panicast 2, there it is. It's real good. So thank you very much. Let's go to our last of the video collaboration segment. And that is Nick Timmons with Personify. Are you there, Nick?
I am certainly here. I'm actually using my camera, as you'll see here in a second, so I'm not on video. But let me share my screen first, and then that'll, I think, be the way to kick this off.
Okay.
I will share desktop 1. Let me know when you see that, okay?
There we go.
So my philosophy whenever I'm talking about Personify, it's very simple. It's showing is always better than telling, right? So the kind of technology where I can kind of speak about it till I'm blue in the face, but it's not until you actually see it that you instantaneously understand how cool it is. And so this is kind of the very basic use case. This is why we're a technology marketing partner of Zoom's. It's because they do meetings and video screen sharing very, very well. And so, we've all been in webinars and in inside sales demos and, online lectures, et cetera, where it's me doing exactly what I'm doing right now, where it's me talking over a bunch of content. And the content is being shared to the webinar participants, to the online, learners, et cetera. But it's very, very easy. I mean, for the people out there that are listening, for anybody that's on a webinar, for anybody that's on the lecture, to kind of stop paying attention, to get relatively disengaged, right? To, kind of put the share screen on your second screen, and then on your main screen, you're doing email, or you've got your iPad up and you're playing Angry Birds, or, you're Instagramming on your phone, or doing any number of 100,000 things that we do to multitask every day, right? But so what Personify does is it takes advantage of the new Intel RealSense technology. And what that is it's a 3D camera. And so because the camera is 3D, it's seeing the world not just in X and Y, it's seeing the world in X, Y, and Z. That depth information is key, and it allows us to do what we do. So that with a click of a button, I can bring myself into my digital interaction, my digital presentation, just like you see the weatherman or the weatherwoman on TV, right? TV is known, this is a very awesome technology. They've known about this for 50 years. The problem is that, not everybody has $100,000, telepresence budget or a TV studio budget to put this in their living room or to put this in their office or whatever. And just to kind of show you, of course, that there's no funny stuff going on. There's no green screening or anything. It's pitch black outside. The lighting in here isn't all that great. And literally just with a click of a button, it allows me to get rid of the background and put myself into my sort of digital content. And really the whole point is that ultimately the person on the other end, the people on the other end, the participants, the lecture, listeners, for the person that's receiving the inside sales demo, what they do is they're transfixed. They pay attention to the screen because you're on there, right? You're speaking to them as a human. You can, see my smile and my passion, and I can move and point different things out on the screen. And ultimately, I'm basically speaking to you like a person. I'm not just a talking head over a bunch of digital content. I'm now almost, sort of teleported into your computer. And really, on many levels, this is the fundamental bit of what we do, the software side. And kind of how CES comes into this is that our largest partner and investor is actually Intel. And sort of one of the stars of the show was the Razer Stargazer camera. And of course, I mean, there's been a whole continuum. When we first started the company, it was the Microsoft Kinect. Back in 2002, 2003, 3D cameras were they were briefcases and cost $40,000 a piece. And it's technology; they get smaller and smaller and better and better. And our sort of vision for the company, for Personify, was always, 3D cameras are going to shrink, and they're going to go into devices. They're going to go into laptops. They're going to go into cell phones. It's taken, I think, a little bit longer than we might have expected. We founded the company in 2010, and here we are 5 years later, and really the hardware market is really starting to take off thanks to Intel. And what they released was the Razer Stargazer, which is this camera here, and it's actually the camera that I'm using. In fact, I'm using this exact laptop. They announced a standalone version, which is the Stargazer, but Intel also has a whole line of laptops with Lenovo and Acer and Asus and Dell and HP, and pretty much anyone that makes a laptop is now putting 3D cameras into their laptop. So I'm actually using this exact Lenovo ThinkPad. And so essentially what they've done is they've also released a standalone version so that they can get this technology out into the market quicker. And we've got a lot of really cool customers that essentially use this for the exact use case that I'm using it for, right? The idea of online education, large scale presentations, but probably our core use case is around the idea of inside sales. So you have folks that are doing demos, and now people are just transfixed to the demo, and as a result, they buy things quicker. So it's a really, really awesome technology for communicating at a distance here. And I think the coolest part, at least for us, and maybe I'll spoil it here, but this is actually my desktop background. This is Miss Harvey. She's an e-gaming esports superstar. And she was invited on stage by Brian Krzanich, the Intel CEO. And there she is live on stage using our technology and streaming her video gaming playing to Twitch. And so, now tens of thousands of people are, we're watching her over the course of the week in the booth and, watching her play Rainbow Six, watching her play a variety of video games and streaming them to Twitch. And actually, this is probably my single favorite image is, her giving her a nice high five after her particular bit of the demo. So, I mean, there's a lot of other things I can say about the technology, but, really, our market, the underlying 3D camera market is starting to really scale. We're going to see millions of cameras, millions of laptops with cameras in them out on the market this year. And so this experience, this ability to remove your background is going to be something that a lot of people are now going to have access to.
A couple of things, Nick. First of all, I've changed my mind. I'm sticking you back in the cool tech section, okay?
Nice.
Number one. And number two, I'm not sure how I feel about you being in my computer right now, but I'm still, I guess, wrapping my head around it a little. But I must say, this kind of presence in communication, collaboration, video, it really is presence. I mean, boil it down to that. We talk about telepresence. We talk about presence. I mean, I don't know if it gets any closer than this. I'm not sure.
And so, that is, on many levels, the next step, right, is bringing this into the virtual reality environment and things like that. But of course, that's, a little bit farther away. We're mostly focused on the 3D camera market, which is why, this year for CES was a bit different. The last several years, we've had demos, we've had booths and things like that. But this year it was more about Intel, our partner, releasing with Razer, our other partner, releasing these cameras. And so, we were kind of there, but we were mostly just walking around and kind of supporting our partners more so than showing off our own technology, really.
I have to make if I can, I have to talk about Intel was huge at CES. There is no doubt that they just sort of everything that was going on. And when you talk about this, the Intel RealSense technology, and I have to say, that's what helped Unique win the Best of CES award with Engadget. That Intel, and I thank you, I didn't know that Intel's RealSense technology was for more than just, what we call sense and avoid. It's actually 3D, and that's how it senses.
Yeah.
And so I love this crossover. I really do. I think it's interesting to have somebody on like Nick who's talking about the same technology that we're getting ready to talk about next segment with unmanned aircraft. So thank you. Very cool.
Absolutely.
And yeah, Christina, I got really excited to hear, how much of a sort of a drone superstar you are, because the same technology, right, is exactly what powers. I mean, some of the coolest things in the Intel keynote were all around, drones that could sense and see and avoid objects, and that kind of thing. And it's the same 3D sensing technology that allows the drones to see, just like it allows us to do the background removal and sort of put. And of course, to speak to my video here, you're seeing the exact same thing that you saw, on a screen share with my persona on the screen. But now I'm actually in my video box, and so I'm going to be a bit aspirational here. I'm in Chicago; it's rather cold, so I feel like I want to today right now.
I need one of those because it's cold here in DC Metro.
Nick, can you explain how that's working, what you're doing right now? Because we've used the Personify camera, because we actually showcased the demo at CES as well, where we're allowing so a doctor could pop in on Personify and show a dashboard where it could be a patient's biometrics data using Personify. But we hadn't figured out how to do exactly what you're doing here, where you would have someone on Personify as a participant in the meeting, where you could still green screen it.
So it's basically just a slightly different product. The product that you saw previously, when I shared my screen and put myself on, it's called Personify for presentations. Obviously, since inside sales and presentations and in online lectures and that kind of thing is the major use case. This is actually a software that we developed in conjunction with Intel for the RealSense launch. It's called Cameo. So it essentially is a virtual camera driver. And what it does is it basically does that exact same thing. It does, of course, user extraction. And of course, I can share my background again here. And we're essentially taking that same idea of background removal, user extraction, and putting you into your video box as opposed to on your desktop screen.
And can you put your desktop on the background there too, or is this just photos?
You know what, you could. That's not a functionality we released with Intel, but that's certainly on the roadmap. It's not particularly difficult to do. It's I can actually that image that you saw in my desktop background is now you could do the same thing here. So it's really just a matter of bringing in whatever into the Cameo software, and then I could easily imagine that I'm actually at an office today and I'm not at home working from home. Or I'm in the pyramids, or I'm in Stonehenge or something like that. You could put whatever in your background that you like, including your desktop.
And you actually have 3D data. I mean, right now obviously we're in a Zoom meeting, so you can only create it in 2D. But if Zoom had the capability to display 3D data, we would see that on this camera. Is that correct?
Yeah, so basically, just to kind of describe a little bit what's going on, I mean, it's not, the actual algorithms, thanks to our brilliant engineers, is kind of rocket science. But, for someone like me that doesn't have a PhD in computer science, it's pretty nice to have this stuff work with just a click of a button. What's happening here is this camera, it's got a laser. And what it does is it bounces infrared laser, and it bounces all across the room. It's got an RGB sensor, yet laser, right?
Laser.
Sorry.
Is that laser bounces across the room, and if it hits, say, the wall behind me and returns to the sensor, that takes longer than if it hits my forehead and returns to the sensor. And there's several ways that these cameras work. There's time of flight sensors. There's these IR sensors. So there's a couple of different 3D camera technologies, but the way this one works, the Intel one, is that infrared laser produces latencies. Of course, if it hits my forehead, it takes quicker. And so as a result, what we're doing is we're essentially taking all that information and saying, okay, now that we've got the depth data, here's what a person is. Mr. or Mrs. Computer. And as a result, get rid of that stuff and put the person into their desktop, into their video box or whatever. Because of course that's the most important part. And then from the point of view of something like a Zoom, the reason why I think this is such an exciting technology from a collaboration point of view is if multiple people have a 3D camera and we're all collaborating like this, you can imagine, right? Every single pixel, this pixel here, this pixel here, everything on the whiteboard behind me, all of my pixels, they have to be encoded in bits and sent over a network.
Yep.
But if you get rid of the background, you just send the person, and as a result, you're cutting the bandwidth of that video transmission by up to 60%. And so now,
this is true.
That conference call in real life that Zoom had recently resurrected, probably one of the greatest things ever. That kind of thing is a little bit less likely to happen because you're not necessarily having to send so much and clog your bandwidth, clog your pipe.
Janelle, we have to get, what's the names? Tripp and Tyler. I think we have to get them on the show next year, right?
I can't tell you how excited I was that Zoom had put out that second.
Wasn't that great? That was terrific. Hey, Janelle, talking about, doing these things 3D and all of that. Are Nick or Eric or anybody looking in on this right now?
Not to let out any trade secrets, but yeah, I think they're
well, what I'm saying is it's already going on right now, Nick. They're looking in. It's like, it's already happening there. So, no, I'm kidding. But, it's like, no, these are the kinds of things that when you have a thought like this, when you mention it, it can happen. There's no question about it. All it takes is, okay, can we do this? And if we can, we get it done. So next year at CES, sure enough, things show up. Zoom will be there. You'll be there. And I tell you what, this to me is something that, hey, next CES we could certainly revisit. So I tell you what, Nick Aurangzeb, I hope that's how I'm pronouncing your name?
You did great. Thank you.
Hey, wonderful. And Aaron, thank you very much. Thank you for participating in this segment. We're going to go into the drones. I think everybody's mentioned drones.
Hold on. I have to say one thing. So, Nick, I want to thank you and everybody else out there who has spent hours and hours in Photoshop trying to get rid of all the background. We thank you. putting our friends in awkward situations with, a little bit of Photoshop. We thank you.
No, you should tell them they should put all drones in the background now, right, Christina?
Oh, you can do so much with it.
There you go.
Just question for you before you leave. Are there any tablets that are yet supporting this?
Great question. So that is the next step. The first step was to get these big, massive, bulky briefcase-looking devices to be as small as the Kinect, then to get the Kinect to shrink further to be something like Prime Sense. And now Intel has put these things into laptops, and there are certainly tablets that are going to be coming out here very soon. And in fact, cell phones as well. That's certainly the next frontier. And I can imagine the first cell phone may very well be coming out this year. So it's tablets and cell phones, the mobile devices, not just laptop mobile devices. Actual.
I mean, we're really looking forward to all the things out of the real sense. I mean, I met with one of the Intel reps at CES in our suite, and he showed me some of the ways it's going to be used for wound care, where it's like that same camera can do a 3D image of a wound remotely for a doctor. And so instead of just seeing something flat, they could see the depth of things and the side and actually get real useful data out of it.
For sure. And it's the same idea behind Windows Hello, right? The idea of being able to scan your face and make your face your password. There are dozens of incredibly cool use cases for real sense. Of course, background removal is one of them, and that's why we've gone to market with
so what I want is someone who is creating holographic images to take the data that you have, where it's just the person, and now you could have them like here virtually just covering.
Just wait, my friend.
I'm almost ready to say to everybody, stick around for another hour or two. We're going to get Nick back, and we're going to have.
We'll get there. I saw a hologram that I thought tricked me into that at CES, but it was only 2D. So when you see it from straight ahead, you're like, it's that, and then you like go around to the side, and you're like, no, it's still a flat screen.
This is pretty cool stuff. So we've been talking price, Nick. What do we got in terms of pricing here?
So the Razer Stargazer camera has been announced at $199 is what they're going to release it for, and then essentially our software is $199 a year. So if you're an inside sales executive selling $1 million accounts, $400 for a camera and a license to this whole software.
Really? And it's more about software and licensing these days. So again, here's a solution: camera, software licensing. That's it. And Zoom, we pay a license cost, right? Okay, we're in the cloud, and there we go. It doesn't get much easier than this. It really doesn't. So everybody in video collaboration segment here, thank you very, very much. We are about to turn to the word that's been mentioned, I think, about 150 times tonight, Christina?
I'm not counting.
Christina's not counting.
Yeah.
So we are going to have, along with Christina, we are going to have two guests. And one is here, and one, I guess, either you've signaled or you're going to signal to be calling in. We're going to have a call-in, but in the meantime, Christina, why don't you introduce who is here representing the drone segment along with you at UA Solutions?
So I have to start out with, you can't talk about CES 2016 without talking about drones. It was a really big topic. I'm pretty sure that it had increased about 300% from last year to this year. It's about a third of the size last year compared to this year. Some of the major players at CES 2016 this year, obviously, we saw some Parrot stuff. I'm not sure if they had a booth or not. I know that they were there talking about their disco. We know that DJI is a major player. I saw their booth. I didn't see their booth. They weren't there. They were there. We haven't really figured out if they were there or not. I saw a video that showed them in the background, yet when you search for them, you didn't see them. You have to talk about DJI. DJI currently owns about 75 to 80% of the market share, so you have to talk about them. They had a huge presence. And then we all know I love Unique, and so Unique was there. Unique won it's a major award. Mm-hmm. So, and then we're going to talk about Stampede, because I'm really good friends with Stampede. Simply because I'm one of their unmanned aircraft consultants. We work closely with Stampede. So because of that, we have Eric Jameson on board with us tonight, who is...
Now look what he's wearing, too.
In charge of...
He's representing.
Is he? I got to see. Where you at, Eric?
Hey, there you go. I got my drone.
There you go.
No, come on, really. We got drones.
We got drones. So we got drones. And then hopefully on the call here in a little bit, if we can, I'm not sure if he's on or not, but is Brian Grant with Unique. Brian and I have known each other for just probably about a year now. We know each other from a company called HSE UAV. And you know HSE UAV because Brian Sanders and Corey Moss and myself are on the Shared Space podcast. So you guys are very familiar with Brian Sanders. But because of that, I met Brian Grant. He's out here in Maryland with me, and he now works with Unique, and I'm really excited to have them on here. Unfortunately, he's driving. So if he's driving, he might be coming through the mountains.
He can only be a call, so we won't be able to see his face. But hearing the voice of Unique and what Unique Aviation means, and the big award that they won, which we'll talk about, is obviously big. So Eric and I, we know each other. We kind of all met around the same time. Eric with Stampede Global. Stampede Global is a major distributor in audiovisual and information technology, but one of the big things you guys do now is work with drones, UAV, UAS. And again, when you talk CES, you obviously have to talk drones.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's really more than just the drone, though. I mean, that's the thing. That's what is really the compelling story that we've pulled together is that there's more than just the drone. It's the solution. It's pulling all of the pieces together. So you've got the entire, you've got the drones, you've got the add-ons we've pulled together, and that's the neat thing at the distribution level that we have the ability to do is pull all of those things together. So. Mm-hmm. And we've got add-ons, command and control, the entire, everything that somebody needs to get involved in commercial operations, we've been able to pull together, and that's what is so compelling for everybody. So,
So I've met a lot of you, Kevin Kelly, the president, COO. Kevin's a pretty dynamic guy. There's no question about it. Your booth at Infocom, the other shows, you guys really do stand out. But I have to tell you, this year at Infocom, which is the big audio visual show, and we'll talk CES too, you guys did have a big presence there with drones technology. You had some telepresence there too, where you're working with other providers for that too. So you're building out that environment in audio visual space as well. So I think Stampede's really really bringing some big things to the table. And Christina and I have talked about some things you are doing now with drones video. While we are waiting for the call in from Unique, but Christina, why don't you and Eric take that over with that conversation?
Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead.
So I'm going to let Eric go ahead and talk for a minute. We have Brian on the line, but he just can't hear anything, or he can hear us, but he's not talking right now.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. So no, it is. I mean, to be honest, when I came on board with Stampede, my background with the military, I wasn't thinking about Stampede being involved, especially in that commercial AV space. What does that have to do with drones? My background, is I would say I come from that drone, from the military side, but I would have tended very easily into the droney space, which is, this is a new industry. This is all about the 2,500 people that show up at all the drone trade shows, and it's going to grow, and it's going to be, but what you see in that industry, unfortunately, is a lot of brand new people that don't understand the dynamics of a commercial market, and they don't understand how to reach a greater level. So you get manufacturers that think that the only thing they can do is go direct to people to sell. So they're going to be, take DJI's model, and is we're going to deal directly with the end users, and it's just not scalable. When you have startup companies in an infancy of an industry, you've got a tendency to try to just reach everybody they can and make a sale, and that leads to a lot of things like people taking DJI Phantoms, one-time sale deals, not long-term commitments and long-term partnerships. And so you get people that will do things that are rather unscrupulous, training-wise. Let's create a training school that really isn't worth anything, but it gives somebody a piece of paper to write on, and they can say that they're trained, but when they pay the money, they find out that it doesn't work, and that it really wasn't worth anything, but they've got no recourse. So when you look at the commercial AV industry, and this is really, Infocom was the start. We launched it at Infocom this last year. When you look at the AV industry, you've got an industry that understands complex problems. You've got an industry that does consultative sales, which means you need to kind of gather all the issues, pull them together, and solve a problem. And you've got a reliable, trusted partner. So an AV integration company that is already in the space, that's doing the work for a police department, can simply adopt a category of drones. DVS, drone video systems, is what we're pulling it together, and go in and say, hey, police department, we can offer you, we're your trusted advisor already for audio-visual stuff. We can offer you this whole category rather than you try to figure all this stuff out on your own. And the chances that they're more willing to trust somebody that they already work with as opposed to some startup company out there, we think it's just going to have a longer term relationship, and it's a much more viable economic model to move into the drone category. So that's a lot of talk, though, isn't it?
No, I like your fake screen back there, though. That's awesome. Were you working with the guys earlier so you can get the good fake screen back there?
What's that?
Behind you, your house, all the fake screen back there. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
This is my fake screen. I have my Trek bike behind me.
It doesn't come off the wall. We know that. It's just for show. So, while we're trying to get Brian from Unique in here, so Eric, talk about really the environment of drones, where it is right now. Now, not only that, but we talk about, and Christina does talk about FAA regulations, registration. But what you guys also is you do education, okay, and that's a big part of what you guys do too,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. So what's nice, and this is, so when I was in the military, I worked at the tactical level down, kind of putting everything together and where the rubber meets the road, you're out really, Christina and I, we were tactical level, doing the mission. And then I also had the opportunity to work up at the strategic level where I was planning the air war, planning ISR operations for a theater. And I found that the ability to kind of spread, go from the top to the bottom gives you the perspective to pull the pieces together that need to be pulled together to solve a problem, as opposed to being out at the pointy tip of the spear. I used to think I was the problem solver, out there, and come to find out, I didn't know that there were so many other problems. And so one of the things about being up at the distribution level, I kind of equate the distribution level with that strategic level, is we can achieve all these partnerships. So we can pull together the manufacturers in a variety of different categories or in a variety of different elements, so that you can see, for example, you can see, I think we might have, so the idea is at the strategic level, you can pull together these relationships with I can be agnostic about the drone. Like I don't have to be a DJI or a Unique or a Dragonfly or Aerion Labs or an Aerialtronics or an AEE. I can represent each one of those manufacturers in their capacity for what they want to, we want to work with them to find out what they want to focus on and then help them achieve their goals in distribution.
Okay.
To the same level, we can work with various add-ons, whether it's FLIR, Tetracam, we can pull together people that would not necessarily be in the same room together. Amamon, we can pull together a whole slew of add-ons. We pull together with the partnership with Unmanned Vehicle University, the training element. We pull together with Christina and UA Solutions Group, the amazing, the ability to do the consultations for, the regulatory environment. And really what we're doing in all of this is, and then, and I'll finish with the command and control, because, you can figure out all those things, but if you don't know what you're going to do with the data, and this becomes a special part to me because of, you got to know what you're going to do with the data. And so many people, first they buy a drone, then they figure out they need pilot training, and then they figure out they need a 333, and then they figure out what they're going to do with the data. And you got to put all that together. So the command and control for, whether it's Radio Bank or Virtual Air Boss to do operation, whether you got data management or flight management, you're going to need something along those lines for that entire system.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think everybody obviously wants to hear about the cool stuff in drones that goes on at CES. This is obviously very important information for everybody to hear because, okay, so, fine, people are buying drones, people are flying drones, whatever, but there's much more to it than just the cool part of, what everybody thinks drones are at this point.
There were some cool things at CES. Don't get me wrong.
Well, we're going to get to that. Okay,
yeah, no,
we're
absolutely.
getting to that.
Yeah.
So we do have Brian, right? You can hear us, and we can hear you now.
I can hear you guys, but it's definitely not the greatest.
Yeah, you're going speakerphone to speakerphone because for some reason we weren't able to get you in as the panelist on the dial-in.
Well, I hear him real well. Can you hear us?
I hear him really well also. So we want to welcome Brian Grant from Unique, coming off of the Whirlwind CES beer pong tour out there in Las Vegas.
Oh, should we have been there for that?
I know. So we have to congratulate Unique with their relationship and their collaboration with Intel, also with the RealSense technology and the Typhoon H1 Engadget's Best of CES award for Best Drone and Robotic, and rightfully so. And we do want to say that Unique and Stampede have an amazing relationship with one another, which is really nice to have the two of them on here tonight. Brian is traveling, so Brian, you want to talk us a little bit through some of the stuff that's happening with Unique and what's going on with your company?
Yeah, certainly. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. And so the beer pong thing, that was that's a little known trophy. So that's the takeaway from this. Not many people know about that we came away with more than the awards that were publicized.
There you go.
They had a ringer. That's all I'm going to say.
But I can't take all the credit. We did have a ringer. I can't take all the credit. So
Okay.
yeah, so as you can imagine, I mean, I'm on the road right now. We are extremely busy. The H is really just, one piece of what's going on with us. Certainly, it definitely, what I think, it planted the stake, proverbial stake in the ground, and claims territory. We're here to stay. We've got the equipment. We've got the intel inside. And much like your the meeting or the portion of the call in, or I guess webinar or what have you, was they covered the real sense technology and how it's okay. So now it's moving to another platform, and they're able to use that, and it's on our platform. It's going to be great. So with that, we've got the H. We're busy still. The 500 plus, the 500 4K. Those are still moving off the shelf. So it's a good time. The H920, we're really excited about. I mean, that's really what I envision, at least my part of the company right now, is to focus on those types of sales, really. The H is going to sell itself. It's going to be an Inspire killer. The 500 4K has already established itself as an excellent turnkey solution for what it's built for. The 920, and again, complementing with Stampede in their operation, what they're trying to do. They've got the vision. Right now in this particular spot, I'm a manufacturer's guy. What are we doing with it? Are we testing this? Are you listening to people's ideas? And they are, because of their approach with me and guys like me. We're on the streets. We're talking to people. We're building relationships. I think it's safe to say that Eric and I have a very good relationship. I think we might even start exchanging Christmas cards next year.
Yeah,
How close we're getting.
God, I hope that's it. So I have to say, so the price point for the Typhoon H, for all the embedded technology that you have compared to the Inspire one, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? You're definitely going to go head to head. And the one question that is on a couple of our minds, and you cannot tell us if you don't want to, we know that Intel recently acquired Ascending Technologies, known as Aztec. And one of the reasons that they purchased Ascending Technologies is for the autopilot system. Unique has been a little bit behind in the autopilot system arena. And I'm just curious, if you can or can't say anything about that because of your relationship with Intel, are we going to see anything coming out of Unique with that technology? Do we know?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that the technology that we've developed, I mean, let's face it, the H is a collaboration. It's Unique, and Intel got together, and this is what transpired. We had this technology, we had these camera systems, and what we're doing with it inside drones to make it do what we need it to do, obviously that's the real trick. And obviously we have had to have let someone into our autopilot system, or a new system, who knows, that the Intel chip can speak to and relate this information. Because it's not just always sensing, it's building a model. It has a memory, it knows what it's doing. It's not just, hey, I'm flying around blind and I don't know where anything is. So based on these coordinates where I am right now, there's something right here. By the way, this solidifies that there is something there. I know that there is, and I'm going to go around it.
Yeah, I was fortunate to be at a congressional hearing a couple of months ago where Intel and Ascending Technologies were both there, and they showcased this technology there, and it was really nice. I guess I wasn't expecting to see that debuted as much as it was at CES. I kind of had to put two and two together. So it's really neat to be able to see it up on Capitol Hill during a congressional hearing, and then to turn around and get to CES and really see what's going on with this technology.
As the drones, and I don't want to use the term, self-aware, but the ability to have a better processor on board allows it to know where it is and what's going on. It becomes much more viable. I was reading a great article with from the founder of Esri, and he was talking about the fact that cars reporting on ice, or the data, and talking to other cars about the fact that there's an ice condition is important. That's a hazard. They're letting other cars know that there's a hazard there. But the ability for the car to know where it is in space and have all of that processing, have all of that there on the car, is now a piece of intelligence that can be used to map out how big is the ice flow, if there's ice on the road, how many cars are being in, same thing. You take that now and you move it into the drone space, and something like the Typhoon 8, and just from now, just the next iteration of drones coming out. I think that's really the exciting thing, like, CES next year, to see with where the drones are going to be. It's going to be amazing when you start thinking about the capabilities of putting the Intel processor on the drone and what that means.
Yeah, there's a lot of cross technology. You're talking about drones, and then we're talking about using possibly that same technology, not just in video systems, but then in cars, right? That's real sense technology. And if nobody's following Intel in this real sense technology, you really need to get on board. You probably need to buy stock. I'm not a stock person, but I'm just saying. It's really taken off, and you need to pay attention to what's going on. And we're fortunate Stampede has a company there called Video 360, and they're also using Intel, and Intel's using their system. Intel is putting their system in all of the Intel offices for the most part, which is amazing. So Intel is just kind of chugging along, you start paying
Intel went to Intel K, or Dan at Video 360. That's a great example of of kind of the pieces that we have, where it's not just drones, but how do we connect all of these things? Whether it's video conferencing, taking the feed from the drones down. That was a case where Dan went to Intel and said, hey, I've got this capability, and I think I want to take a camera and just build a computer in the palm of my hand, and make that happen. And they started working with him, and he started talking to them, and they went, wow, you can do that? So they're learning along the way themselves. So.
Yeah, and that touches off on something like, I've been asked this question twice by reporter type, story, writers, we're going to report on this, and this is what we saw, and this is what we thought. Several times was it brought to my attention or asked, what's hot with drones right now? And obviously, the real sense, the sense and avoid technology, anti-collision technology, it was the big winner. But every year, I think the turtle that's going to win the race, and again, here's a relationship we have with Stampede, is what's the payload? What's underneath? That's what's hot. That's what really needs to be focused on. The collision avoidance, it's here now. You mentioned next year at CES. What are they going to have then? It's almost going to be like it's going to be like a stabilized gimbal. It's going to have to come on it, or why are you even bringing it to market? Kind of thing. I mean, you really need that technology to make it safe and better for everyone. But it's just the culmination of, hey, here's a platform. Hey, here's an idea. Well, how do we bring that together? We're listening. We're working with the guys at Stampede. What can they do to make their systems better? Because these still aren't. Again, these aren't. Some of these and some of the things we talk about are not just maybe the term commodities, if you will. Because some are going to be boxes, they're going to be sold, and they're going to be drones, and they're expected to do certain things out of the box, ready to fly, and we provide that. But we also provide a ready-to-fly, vehicle that can pick up a good amount of weight and put multiple sensors on it. And they might not be cameras at all, but it's information gathering, and it's the payload, and that's what's new. It's always going to be new. It always has to, and it always will, because, hey, we got the platforms. Stampede sells them. Go get one. But,
there you go. There's the big endorsement. There you
go. So I have to ask.
It's the integration. It's the integration.
There you go.
So for those who don't know, that Unique is they have their founding, I guess you could say, in electric propulsion, right? So they've been doing this for about 10, 15 years now, and they have a really cool device called the Ego, which is an electronic skateboard. And what I'd really like to see is this Intel RealSense technology on a skateboard. So you're skating along, and then you almost run into a wall or do something, and it just stops. And the skateboard just stops. That's what I want to see.
There you go.
A skateboard or the skateboard?
I will put up the chain of command.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey,
Oh,
Brian.
I just need a video of it.
Okay. Hey, Brian, this is Corey Moss. First of all, congratulations on that big win. That's great. I must say, Brian, that Christina and I, whenever we talk, the name Unique comes up very often. No question about it. And I guess it is a case in point that Christina is a real fan of Unique. But it looks like you guys, especially with the Typhoon H. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at an article in The Verge where they talk about the new Typhoon H is the biggest challenge yet to other companies' supremacy. Anybody can mention their name if they want. So it looks like we're. Okay, thank you. You did it, not me. You're allowed. But anyway, it seems now, Brian, Unique. The visibility is growing. And, whenever you speak drones in the market, Unique is a name that seems to be on the tip of everybody's tongue at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where we need to be, and that's where we are. We're, like I said, when I first got on, we kind of put the stake in the ground, and we're here to stay. There was a lot of good products there. Hey, I'm a lover of the industry. I love what I do. This is my passion. I fly all kinds of different aircraft, and the acronym you mentioned, it's a good product. I mean, there's no question about it. And they hold the market share. I mean, and Stampede carries them, and they would be wrong not to. It's a capable aircraft. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But again, and I'm sure it's come up if you're talking about drones. I mean, for instance, I hate to keep bashing a dead horse, but it's like, where's 3DR in all this? They announced a firmware update during CES, and they weren't even there. Lilly is there trying to rake money in, and they don't even have a product.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stampede can talk to that. We won't.
They've got 1 million products, and it's a 2-hour drive from their headquarters, or maybe a little longer than that, and they're not even there.
Well, that is revealing, I guess you'd have to say, and people have to be asking the question. And actually, you're pointing it out right now. But you are there, and you do mention the other companies, and yes, the visibility and all of that. But again, I think you guys are getting great write-ups like this one, and this one in The Verge, and there are others. And I think that's the point here, Brian. Is there was big focus at CES, and that's where the focus you really want focus to be at the Consumer Electronics Show, and you had it there. So I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, that was definitely the product for that show, for super capable. It really does expand the next reaches and, like I said, make us a safer industry, safer products, and just the gadgetry of it all. And obviously it helps, have a little sticker on the front that says Intel inside.
So I tell you what.
After all, they probably paid for CES, so they're going to get some credit for this too.
So I tell you what, we're talking drones, and it's all great, Brian. But I tell you what, let's talk about one other thing. Where you talk about anything else that was shown at CES that's non-drones, okay? What would you pick as probably the coolest thing you saw at CES?
I don't know exactly what it was called, but there was 2 of them I saw, and they were both pretty cool. But they were the driver simulation machine. The cars that you get in and you drive, and just the actuators and the way the things work and operate. For me, because I like, I'm a fan of cars, nice automobiles, how they handle, how they accelerate, and the way that these things were put together, it was so real. They're really bridging the gap here, really making you feel that you're in this car driving it. Because it's not just, ooh, wow, it's a thin TV or, that kind of thing. We know that's going to be coming, that's what's happening, but when they see something like this, the technology is all put together. But that's what I like. There's tons of other stuff. I tell you, after standing around and talking to people all day, those recliners that give massages look like the best invention to me. That gets my award. How about that?
And if it serves Christina a Guinness, it's even better than that. So,
and I've got one, Corey.
Yeah.
So, 2 really. I think one was a guy brought over, I think, and it's still kind of a bit off. It's going to be interesting. I think we're going to work with them. But it's a guy that has the ability to bring, all of the data feeds into a pair of goggles and be able to provide, a heads-up display on a pair of glasses. And so you're able to, and then if you can connect that with a gimbal, and now you could actually be controlling the gimbal and see where the gimbal's looking at when you move your head, and you're still getting all of the information for the drone. So that was kind of a neat one. It's still kind of drone related, but it really has, a lot of the augmented reality.
Yeah. That was the one with the full transparent glasses too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so the one that I thought was most amazing, because he ended up taking me over to another place, and I don't know where this was really. It's somewhere in Tech East, through about 3 halls or something, because I was following him. But he took me over to a place. They had a little mock-up of some cars, and in a street, and they had cameras on a couple of the cars, and they had a camera in the front, the back, and the 2 sides. The software that they were running, and the way they did this was they had the ability to render the entire area from the cameras, and then pull the you could position yourself anywhere in the 3D space. So the ability to take that and say go to a car that you're getting ready to park, and when you push the button, go to 20 feet straight above your car, looking down on your car, phenomenal. And I thought this was a video they were showing on the screen. He goes, no. He goes, here, put your hand in the play area that they had that they were showing.
Incredible.
And sure enough, your hand is in the camera feed, and so it's live. But the processing that they're doing with those cameras, and the funny thing about it though is that these guys are engineers, and I go, do you realize what you've got? I mean, like. Yeah, we've designed these systems for a couple of clients, and we do these designs, and I go, well, you could package that up and sell it, and he just started being like, well, I mean, somebody has to give us the requirements, and then we'd have to, we'd be happy to sit down with somebody and go over the requirements needed, but we don't really get into that whole like selling thing.
Well, don't get into the selling thing. Wow, they may be the only ones there.
It was crazy. But
could be the next biggest thing.
Just take yourself out of the car and and look down on your car. I think is going to be phenomenal for this driverless or assisted driving.
Yeah. So Christina, there was this taxi, right? This drone taxi.
Oh, the e-hang.
Yeah.
All right, so
we need to wrap up with that one. I think that was the class act of the whole thing.
Right. So first of all, I have to say this is all the paperwork I got from just a couple of the drone kiosks, I guess.
Okay. You got a pile.
I got piles. So.
And we're going to talk about the show that's going to talk about this next, our podcast. But go ahead.
Yeah. So first, it was the e-hang 184. Pretty much you can't see what it is. So we had the e-hang 184 was what's known as I would actually consider it an optionally piloted aircraft, simply because if it was where you could just put the person in and you flew it from a remote location, that would be one thing. But I think you can take whatever it is that you're using to fly this thing with a person inside of it, this unmanned aircraft or this aircraft, let's just call it an aircraft with a person inside of it. If you have a rated aviator flying it with the iPad, I think I would call it wireless fly-by-wire technology, but we will get into that more. It was a huge hit there. The dilemma is that right now the FAA has pretty much deemed it you can't fly in the United States. It doesn't meet some of the minimum requirements.
Right.
Hoping that our company can work with them to help them get through those minimum requirements.
And I know you did have talks with them, Christina. We're going to talk about it more on our podcast. So anyway, again,
wait.
Wow.
I have one last thing. Okay, so I have to tell you my favorite thing about CES.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so I have to give a big shout out to my buddy Kevin Sloan, who's a Steadicam operator. He had me go and check out the latest Kodak. And everybody knows as an unmanned aircraft operator, you're actually really a photographer, right? That's kind of what we are. We're data collectors, we're photographers. So my real passion is actually photography, and I want to give a big shout out to Kodak.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and their Super 8 camera. They were so awesome. They gave me some free film.
Look at that.
But, you know, you look at Quentin Tarantino, he just filmed The Hateful Eight in 70 millimeter. Some of the Star Wars was filmed on film. Not everything is filmed on digital.
Right.
Film really captures the image differently than digital. So when we're talking about unmanned aircraft operators and the operation of unmanned aircraft, we always have to talk about the cameras or the payloads or the sensors. And don't forget where you came from. You came from film is really where it came from. So
who knew you would have been coming home with that?
Technology.
Wow.
Because I love photography. I love it. So
retro.
I'm excited.
Look at that.
What's that?
It's retro.
It's right. It's retro.
I can show you my little brownie camera up there. Yeah. So
we actually ended this retro. What do you know? I mean, but
yeah, we will talk more about unmanned aircraft on the next Shared Space broadcast, and of course, Shared Space. You can find us at Drone Space 1, and we will post that as soon as we get that up.
Yeah. So again, Shared Space is our new podcast. That's SHAIRED Space. And
the number 1.
Yeah, there you go. And Drone Space 1 at Drone Space 1 on Twitter. That's where we are. We just started. Our second one is coming. And it's me, you, and who is our other participant? Well,
it's going to be Brian Sanders from HSE UAV. He's the third host, but we were going to have Stampede and Unique on there, but we have them on here tonight. And due to a conflict and change in time zones and some other things, we had to change the time. So
we're going to figure it out.
You know, as soon as we get somebody on.
We need a publicist is what we need. Well, I think I know one.
I need a scheduler. That's what I need.
There you go, a scheduler and a publicist. Anyway, we are going to wrap this up. This has been a great show. Again, 3 segments. We did cool tech, we did video collaboration, and finally drones, UAVs.
Christina finished her beer. I see. She just finished her beer.
So. Oh, yes, and Chrissy finally...
we can end it now.
We can end now. So listen, first of all, big thank you, Marcus. Marcus did help put this together. Really hosted this on the Zoom platform, put the Kubies there in the room, and, you know, you're really seeing some dynamic stuff going on here. We have Eric is still on here. Janelle, I think, is there somewhere with Zoom. There's Janelle with Zoom. Janelle, we have to give big shout out to Zoom because here we are. We are on Zoom. So big shout out to Zoom, you and the Zoom folks. All great stuff. Any more things to say about Zoom before we go, Janelle?
It's just been a pleasure to be on this, and it's fun to do this with the whole panel and have the video and everybody's face to face.
Guess what? We're gonna do it again. I don't know exactly what we're gonna do, but we are gonna do it again. This was
last time I was on with you, Corey. It was like I just had my Bluetooth headset. I was like I don't even remember which. It was in the Venetian or something, sitting at CES last year, and to see everyone face to face and being able to share the screens and it feels much more like we're here in person with each other. So.
I love that Janelle's book in the background is the Lean Startup. I'm just
okay, a little inspiration. But I'm still trying to get Nick out of my head and my computer, so you know, we're gonna figure that out. Eric, you're still here. Eric, thanks a lot for coming aboard. Tell us what we need to know about Stampede Global.
Yeah, no, that's great. Appreciate it. We're happy to help solve problems and bring solutions to bear. So you know, we're interested in growing this solution out and being able to help out. So
where do people find you guys, Eric? Online and all?
It's stampedeglobal.com and Twitter handle.
You got to remember that it's required.
Yeah, Christina, you want to? I'm not good on the Twitter thing.
At Stampede
Global.
There you go. All right, next time you're required to remember that.
And remember, you guys are going to IS Europe in Amsterdam.
Yeah, so coming up, we're going to be at the Internet of Things, and we're hosting the Drone Pavilion there. We're going to be, we've got the same type feel talking about the entire solution, the drone video system. And then we're going to be at ISE, Infocom Systems Europe, in February in Amsterdam. I think we're actually in talks now. We're looking at being at the Esri Developers Conference in March to talk about drone interaction with Esri Maps, and again provide, what we see everybody talking about is, wow, you guys really have a complete solution. So we see lots of people come on board. So yeah, so those are the big ones coming up, and we're excited to continue on into Infocom this next year as well. So.
All right,
I
Janelle.
think we got about, I think we have a total of 9 trade shows we do, and
excellent.
14 big book tour of AV shows, mini trade shows that we host ourselves throughout the country. So,
and by the way, I met Christina Eng at the Big Book of AV tour here in Virginia, so that's the whole connection here. And yeah, you guys do a good amount of trade shows and real good stuff. Janelle, the Zoom Twitter handle?
Yeah, we're at Zoom_US. We had some fun things today. It was Dress Your Pet Day.
Wow.
Come check us out. Yeah, pretty active on Twitter, so that's great.
You're a fun company, no question about it. Christina, what is that wonderful Twitter handle of yours?
At Missing Wyoming, MISSENGH, which is my last name, and the beautiful state Wyoming, WYOMING.
There you go, at Missing Wyoming. Wyoming, sorry. I am at CB Moss. I know, not very colorful, but it's what I picked when I got on Twitter. So that's how you get to know me in Twitter. Listen, thank you everybody for checking in. It's been a great show. It is recorded, so it will be put out there on video. And thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Corey.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
No.